This podcast is brought to you by Customplan Financial Advisors, Inc., an independent insurance managing general agency in Canada. Financialpodcast.ca was developed with one goal in mind: to educate Canadians on important topics that affect their financial well-being and make it readily available to all. We welcome you to plug in and learn with us. If you have questions, please email us at contact@financialpodcast.ca.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Financial Podcast. My name is Darlene, and I'm your host. Today, we have a special guest with us, David LeNevue, founding partner of Rockmore Wealth Management out of Nanaimo, BC. Today's topic isn't something that gets mentioned often, but it's about referrals. But before we get to that, let me tell you a little bit about David. He is a chartered investment manager, a certified executor advisor, an active member of the Independent Financial Brokers of Canada, and a member of the Million Dollar Roundtable. He went to university in New York, where he had an outstanding academic and athletic career. And for those hockey fans amongst us, David was also a professional goaltender in the NHL, playing with the Phoenix Coyotes, Anaheim Ducks, and Columbus Blue Jackets before ending his career with the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2014. Thank you for coming on the show, David.
Thanks very much for having me, Darlene.
Oh, you're welcome. That's an outstanding resume. Wow.
Yeah, it's a former life of mine, and excited to be able to leverage some of that into the new life we've created in the financial industry.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a change of pace, I imagine.
Absolutely.
So many of our listeners are advisors that want to expand their business and provide their clients with more services and options. So how can Rockmore Wealth Management help them with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you get into the financial services industries, a lot of us, including myself, initially come in as a life licensed insurance advisor. And when you have your life and accident sickness license, it's a great start to the financial career. But what you really quickly find out is, well, we provide excellent opportunities on the risk-based side of taking care of people. When it comes to the investment side of the business, segregated funds don't meet the needs of a lot of individuals out there. And there needs to be an ability to expand your business practice and your horizons beyond just being life licensed and open your own business up to the idea of being able to specialize and work with individuals that specialize outside of the life insurance industry.
Yeah, and you know what, that's been a common theme that we've talked about with other guests as well, is leveraging the expertise of others. So what is the referral arrangement and how does it work?
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to specialization, we work with a lot of life licensed agents that have a specialty in the life side, and they're very good at what they do in that aspect. But when it comes to the planning and the investment advisement, that's where we generally set up referral arrangements with life licensed advisors. And the referral arrangement, which is allowed by the industry today, simply allows you to make an introduction to a client, and then that client will be taken care of by another advisor, and with all his planning, with all his investment management. And just like in the life industry, if you were to split a life insurance case, the two advisors that are splitting the investment side would also get a 50-50 split on that referral arrangement.
Okay, so they get paid through, the portion of that commission that's paid on that. All right.
Yeah, and it's typically not a commission-based style of management that we would look on the investment side. It typically has to do with a management fee, which is really nice for the advisor, because it becomes a reoccurring, almost pension-like income for them.
Absolutely. Okay. So who do you set up a referral arrangement with, what kind of a referral partner are you looking for?
Well, for us, it has to have one very specific criteria. When you're dealing with the investment management side of things, there are many, many, many different types of licensing on the investment side that exists in the country today. And for our own well-being and for our clients' well-being, we prefer to work only with registered portfolio managers or investment counselors. And the reason being is because an investment counselor or a registered portfolio manager has a fiduciary duty on behalf of their clients. The licensing requires them to be a fiduciary on behalf of their clients, which simply means that they have to, by law, put the best interests of the client first and foremost. And I believe that is the biggest and best stepping stone that you can have with your clients to develop that trusted relationship, because the clients and yourself know that you are going to be putting yourself in the top echelon of investment management in Canada.
Well, that's definitely a very strong criteria. It allows everybody to provide the best service then to your client.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like. So what are some of the advantages of a referral arrangement?
Well, the biggest advantage on the referral arrangement side, and especially when it comes to the investment industry, I know a lot of guys have been disenchanted with the investment industry because of the paperwork and compliance regimes. Now, when it comes to a referral arrangement and you are referring the client to the portfolio manager, technically the portfolio manager has all the compliance heaped on themselves and not on yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, there is still compliance pieces that you have to follow as a referring agent. However, the majority of the compliance and the paperwork is now under the portfolio manager, so you're able to concentrate on growing your business and not being bogged down by paperwork. In addition to that, most PMs provide their referrer relationships with a internal CRM or client relationship management tool, and the reporting and transparency to the client is provided for them. And this allows you to attract much bigger accounts. It establishes your credibility and it allows you to specialize in the piece of the business that you are best at.
Okay, I can see how that can work. So it sounds to me like it's really a win-win for both the referring agent and for companies such as yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. In our opinion, there's no reason why you wouldn't be doing this. This is an expanded business line, so it's another source of income and revenue, and it really increases the value of your book of business and the attractiveness of the business to clients that are looking for somebody like yourself.
Well, and while we talk about win-wins, I'm sure there are some disadvantages. Can you tell us what some of those disadvantages would be?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to looking for a portfolio management firm, you really have to do your research. When we went down this route a number of years ago, we found that there were certain PM firms across the country that took really, really good care of the client. However, we found instances where they would actually try to take the client away from you in the future. And obviously, that's not a referral partner that you would want to be involved with. One of the other disadvantages that can crop up, typically PMs only take certain account sizes. So in some cases, you may have a client that you would like to refer, but they don't meet the threshold of the portfolio manager. Now, there is a solution to that because there are all sorts of different PMs. We use 3 different ones ourselves that take all different types of account sizes, and it's up to us to figure out where to best place the client. So that disadvantage can definitely be mitigated. But the final one that has to do with the referral arrangement is that the industry is closely monitoring this. They have looked at the referral arrangement previously. They said that they may make industry-wide changes regarding this type of arrangement. So far, it's been scrutinized very heavily. They haven't recommended any changes, and if they do recommend changes in the future, there are alternative ways in which this could still work, such as the portfolio manager would be paying a financial planning fee to the referral agent, or separately, depending on the credentials of the referral partner, they could also become registered with that portfolio manager and get paid in that direction as well.
Wow. So even though there are disadvantages to doing this. There are, you've definitely thought it through and how to mitigate it, as you said earlier. So.
Yeah, no, I don't see a downside to doing it today. The industry is always going to change, and we've seen a lot of change in the industry over the past number of years. And any good practice will adapt and move forward with those changes. And it's all about making the appropriate adaptations to your own practice to ensure that you're continually maximizing your revenue potential within your business.
And I suppose that would probably be another advantage as well, because there are constantly changes happening in the financial services industry, whether it's in insurance or in investments. Having a partner with that expertise would help you remain on top of that. Would that be an accurate statement?
Well, absolutely. I put this type of arrangement in league with having a great lawyer partner, with having a great accountant partner, or a notary public. I know in the financial industry, it's very easy for us to refer to accountants and lawyers for powers of attorneys and small business needs and bookkeepers. And this is just one more piece to that. Now, obviously, with referrals to lawyers and accountants, we're not getting paid on that, nor can we get paid on that. However, when we look at the investment side of the business, that is something we can definitely and should be paid on.
Yeah. And really the best way to serve your client is to bring in somebody that has that expertise. So.
Exactly.
And you know what? This isn't just in the financial services industry. That's a thinking that should be across many different kinds of industries. If you don't have an expertise in something, bring in somebody that does and learn from them, or, partner with them in some way. And then everybody learns and everybody gets the best service.
Well, we found that the best businesses in any industry, the majority of, or not the majority, but a good chunk of the time is allotted to introducing your own clients to experts in other industries where they have that need, and recognizing that you can't fulfill that need, but putting them in front of somebody that can. And it just makes yourself be the go-to person when it comes to those types of things. And it's just going to create goodwill within your referral partners, but also more importantly, within your own clientele book.
That's right. And you learn too, as you go along. So as you grow in your career, you can speak a little bit more intelligently about some of these different aspects that you would be talking about with those clients.
Absolutely.
So it's constant learning is what it is. How many referral partners do you use, and who do you use as a referral partner?
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to the investment side of the business, we use 3 separate portfolio managers. We spent years of research trying to find who we believe are 3 of the best that fit the criteria that we're looking for, and also have a matching investment philosophy with us. And I do believe that's really, really important. When it comes to the reasons why we have 3 different portfolio managers, I alluded to it earlier, as certain clients fit certain criteria. So if we have smaller account sizes, we use one portfolio manager that will take on smaller account sizes. If we have individuals that want to stay local to Vancouver Island and Nanaimo, then we have a portfolio manager that fits that specific aspect. If we have clientele that have a specific investment philosophy, then we have another PM that's located in Winnipeg. Now, I do want to make this very clear, is that when a client comes on, a lot of the talk goes into wanting to be properly diversified. Now, we agree that a client's investment mix definitely does need to be properly diversified, but what should not happen, in our opinion, is they should not diversify their investments across different investment managers or portfolio managers. That is a disservice to not only themselves, but their future growth. They need to stick with one portfolio manager that is properly diversified in of themselves. It is never recommended to have your investments spread across a number of different managers, because each one of them will have a different investment philosophy, a different investment mix, and any advantage that you would get from one investment manager could and probably will be negated by what the other investment manager is doing. So it's very, very specific and just good financial planning advice that when you do use your portfolio management partners, a client should only be at one of those individual partners. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, well, you have two other ones that are options for the client. And it's also important from a business, your own business continuity standpoint, that you should definitely have other options available should something happen in the future.
I can definitely see the logic of that. I mean, I haven't been involved with the financial services for very long, but I mean, that definitely breeds good common sense because, you go across different portfolio managers, you just may end up with a balanced portfolio. And like you said, one could negate the forward movement of the other. So
exactly.
Yeah, so I can definitely see that. I'd not heard that piece of advice before, but I think it is sound advice. From my limited knowledge, let me tell you, this is why I talk to the experts like you.
Oh, thank you.
If somebody wants to remain in the insurance industry as a specialist and just remain in the insurance industry, but they come across clients who fit this model, what should they do?
Well, one of the easiest ways to go down that route is to give us a shout, and we can help them walk through what that process would look like. We would become that referral partner for those individuals, and there's other people like ourselves out there, and we would take over the planning aspect on the investment side for that client and work with our portfolio management partners to ensure that they're appropriately and properly invested. Because the listeners need to understand that when it comes to working with a portfolio manager, you can refer directly to a portfolio manager, assuming you set up a referral relationship agreement. However, most portfolio managers will not, and it's even included in their paperwork, will not take on the financial planning aspect for that referred client. And the reason that they won't take on the financial planning aspect is because their job is simply to provide that investment mix and that long-term rate of return for a client. And it's even in the education material that's out there today that when a portfolio management firm is set up, they should really set up a firm into three separate silos. They should have one silo where you have a team of individuals strictly working and concentrating on the investment mix for the client. So they're producing that rate of return, and that's their sole responsibility. Then you have another team of people that their sole responsibility is the compliance and the administration. And we all know how much work that can be. And the other side of that PM firm needs to deal with the acquisition and planning for clients. And that client acquisition and planning for clients is where our job comes in as a referring agent. And the PMs prefer that to happen in many cases from individuals like ourselves, because it allows them to concentrate on what they're good at and specialize in generating that rate of return. And it allows us on our side to do what we're good at and specializing in bringing those clients on board and doing the appropriate planning for them.
Really what it comes down to then, what I'm hearing from you is that just concentrate on the pieces of the business that you're good at. And, once again, it sounds like sound advice. You've got those three silos, and it sounds like it makes sense to me to best serve the client. So, and that's really what this is all about.
Well, exactly. And it's really worked within our business. For example, we work with a lot of small business owners, and all of them have a group insurance need. Well, that's not something that I specialize in, nor do I want to specialize in. And so we have referral partners on the group side where we will send our clients to our group referral specialists. And at the end of the day, we have an agreement, just like a split life case, where we would share in that revenue 50-50. And the same comes on when it comes to the investment side. If they don't specialize in the investment portion of it, well, that's what we do. And so then they would refer that case back to us, and then we would split that ongoing revenue 50-50 the same way back.
There's a lot of different ways, I think, to generate revenue. And this is one, until we talked about it, I'd not heard of it. I hadn't realized that this was even a possibility in this industry. So you've brought some really good points and to our listeners, given them food for thought, that's for sure.
One of the things I will mention, just for the listeners out there, if they are considering looking at this business model, there's a couple other advantages that we haven't yet discussed, and there's a couple other things that they need to be aware of. A couple of those items are that they need to be aware of. If you are MFDA licensed or IROC licensed, portfolio managers will not be able to take you on as long as you hold that license. And it has to do with the regulations and licensing inside those self-regulatory organizations. So everybody does need to be aware of that. But one of the advantages of working with a portfolio manager is the value of your book of business. I know everybody looks at their own book of business, and we hear a lot about people buying and selling books of business, whether it be on the insurance side, investment side, or a combination of the two. And it's something that we're very active in ourselves. And when you work within a insurance book of business and you're holding, I'll talk about the investment side, just a segregated fund book of business, the multiple or the amount of money that you would get for selling that book of business is typically between 1.5 and 2 times annual revenue. Compare that with a portfolio manager book of business. We've seen them go generally anywhere between 3 and 4 times revenue. So for being able to give your client not only what I will generally say is a more appropriate and most likely a better product long term, you're also increasing the value of your own business by up to 2 times. And like I said, we work with mergers and acquisition specialists in this industry every day, and this is what we see on an ongoing basis. And it's just once again, it's a value add to your client, but it's a value add to your own business as well, in my opinion.
Absolutely. When they're looking at the, potential retirement or unloading their business or, moving into a different career, all of these, it's definitely something that sounds like a positive, it's a positive investment for them to consider this avenue for sure. Wow. I mean, that's a big difference between 1.5% and 2% or 3 to 4%. That's huge.
Well, when we started looking at this, we were pretty blown away by the numbers ourselves, and it's only proven itself over and over again. And the growth in our business accelerated at just a crazy pace when we switched over to this model, and it really allowed us to specialize in this aspect. And our revenue has only increased since, and it's just in the course of the pandemic, it's been a blessing because this ongoing pension style of income that's been coming to us has helped us to be able to sustain and even buy and move to a brand new office during this time.
Oh, excellent. That is good news. I know you're going to be talking about seg funds in a moment, but you mentioned something earlier, and I don't know if you have the answer to it, but you said somebody that holds the MFDA license would not be able to work with a portfolio manager. Is that correct?
That's correct, because generally the MFDA license or the IROC license, they have their own internal policies within those licensing that do not allow you to use an outside manager that is not approved on their platform.
Oh, okay. I just know that a number of our listeners would have either one or the other or both. And so it's definitely good information. Yeah.
So PMs typically they want somebody, a referring agent. They need somebody to have a background in the financial industry. They want them to have third-party oversight, which works great for life licensed advisors. Like, this is where the sweet spot really is. For the MFDA licensed advisor, this would be something that you'd be considering if you were already considering to move your book or sell your book or transition your book or some way, shape, or form.
Right. Okay. All right. Sorry. And I interrupted your train of thought before you were going to go on and talk about seg funds as well.
Yeah. So just if we want to speak on the seg fund industry, we all know, being life licensed, where the segregated funds are really, really good for clients. Unfortunately, as if you're only a life licensed advisor, a lot of times our clients come to us and they ask us on the investment side what we have available to them. So many times we're stuck trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. Seg funds are great in very, very specific circumstances, but those are, in my opinion, very, very specific circumstances. And we have to be very, very careful when we're giving advice to our clients when we know that there are other solutions out there that may be more suitable. And in the new LLQP books, that when people are getting their licensing now, it talks specifically about this. You really have to do your due diligence and know your product is becoming an ever greater piece of the compliance puzzle. So if we know that there are other products that may be more suitable to our clients, we have to ensure that we're putting them in the right places. And when it comes to that specific piece, if a seg fund is what they need, then great. We have the ability as life licensed individuals to do that. If we know that's not in the client best interest, then this is where the referral arrangement would be in the best interest of the client, but yourself as well, because you don't have to give up that side of the business.
Yeah. So once again, a win-win.
That's how we look at it.
Yeah. So you guys offer really a great option for advisors out there, especially ones that are independent, just starting their business. It's nice knowing that there is that expertise and that option out there. You've given a lot of people a lot of good tips and advice and information. I know a lot of this is germinating in my head. Thank you again, David, for coming on the show. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Tell us, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, one of the easiest ways to get in touch is just go to our website, which is www.rockmorewealth.com, or you can always send me an email at david@rockmorewealth.com, and I would be happy to get back in touch and answer any questions you guys may have.
Yeah, and it's been great talking to you again. And for our listeners, all of that contact information will be on the website when this podcast is up. So there's no need to worry about that. And as always, this podcast is sponsored by Customplan Financial Advisors. And if you would like to be a guest or have an idea for the show, please send an email to contact@financialpodcast.ca. Have a great day, everybody.
The views expressed here are those of the participants and not those of Customplan Financial Advisors, Inc., its affiliates, or subsidiaries. This is not intended to serve as a complete analysis of every material fact regarding any company, industry, or security. This presentation may contain forward-looking statements. Investors are cautioned not to place undue reliance on such statements, as actual results could vary. This site and podcasts are for general information purposes only and does not constitute investment advice and is not intended as an endorsement of any specific investment product or service. Individual investors should consult with an investment professional about their personal situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results. If you are unsure about what is the best course of action for you in your financial planning, then we suggest you consult a fee-based independent financial advisor or get in touch with us to discuss your individual situation. Our phone number is 604-687-7773.